Ask Auntie Tam here, and today we are going to be talking about medication for anxiety and depression. Now, some of the people I've spoken to are completely and vehemently against any sort of pharmacological intervention, while there are others who actually have said they found that not only is the medicine helpful, but it's become a lifesaver. Now, why is there such a big um, question around medication? I think partly because people don't understand what the medication can do, partly because some people have been on medication and it's not really helped them, or it's made things worse. And I think the other side of it is that, okay, well, I want to rather do things naturally. And I'm going to be talking to you specifically from my own personal experience. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I am not a psychologist. I am none of those things. I'm not an expert in pharmacological studies. I have absolutely zero experience in the medical field. So everything that I am talking to you about is coming from my lived experience. I'm also going to be mentioning suicide briefly. So if they find that that'll be a trigger for you, then you might want to skip this video or stay on, because really it's a small mention as far as side effects go. So from my own personal experience, the very first medication I was on, I'm not going to give you the name because I don't want to get into trouble with copyright and all of that. The first time I was given medication, I was 16. And I stayed on that medication for about a year and a half. Then again, I was given medication when I was 23, and that was paroxetine. But paroxetine didn't suit me very well at that point in time. So it was a really up and down stage. I was also given a very strong medication that they use mainly for epilepsy called, I'm not going to give you the name, but it starts with a T, and it's a very strong medication. So this medication combined with the antidepressant, and then I was also given I can't say the word, so an anti-anxiety drug. So the combination of these three did not work well for me. It made me extremely tired, and I wasn't able to actually function. And my depression got worse, not better. Came out of that. Then again at the age of about 30, and then again at about 33, I had medication containing fluoxetine, which is a very popular medication that people are prescribed nowadays. And it worked well for me for about 6 months. And then I had to come off it because I found that the side effect that it was having was that it had cancelled out all of my emotions. But we'll talk about that in a bit. Then once again, I was put onto an anti-anxiety drug in about 2016, and it was a hell to come off that drug. I also came off that drug because it numbed my emotions. It gave me hallucinations, and it's a drug that contains venlafaxine, which is also a very popular prescribed drug at the moment. And then in October of 2020, I was given another drug, which did not work well for me. In fact, it made things worse. I went on it, and I was off it the very next, after 5 days. I couldn't handle it. And then I was back on paroxetine from January 2021. And I don't know if it's because there are no other medications that I'm taking with it, or because of my age and my body has changed, but the paroxetine has actually worked. Now, a lot of people would go back and say, well, I'm trying homeopathics, I'm trying herbals, I'm trying this alternative therapy, that alternative therapy. You know, you've got to do what is best for you. But from my personal experience, and I'm not saying that this is what you have to do, but I have found this. St. John's wort is a popular herbal remedy used to treat depression. Now, what I even had this discussion on Sunday with some friends that St. John's wort, yes, it's helpful, but only for very mild cases of depression, and you can only stay on it for 1 month because it does have an effect on the liver. I've tried homeopathics myself. Homeopathics worked for me for about a month, and then they didn't work anymore. When I was living in England, I met a man who does Chinese medicine, and he gave me a combination of herbs, which sustained me very well for about 3 months, um, to come through a situational depression. And it wasn't a particularly severe depressive episode, so the herbs actually worked very well. But what I will say to you is that particularly if you are experiencing suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation, thinking of death and dying, you are way beyond the herbal and the homeopathic remedies now. I'm sorry, but yeah. And I know that there are lots of you really should go and see your general practitioner or your psychiatrist, and get them to recommend what is best for you, because sometimes medication is trial and error. In my case, it really very much has been. I've tried the homeopathics, I've tried the herbals, I've had mixed success with the herbals. The homeopathics, I think, have had more of a placebo effect, because the effects I've experienced from homeopathics lasted a month, and then they didn't work anymore. So I'm putting that down to a placebo effect. If you find homeopathics fantastic, I'm not saying that they're not going to work for you. I'm just saying they didn't work for me as effectively as I would have liked. I had mixed success with herbals, but I think that's because at the time, when I was taking a combination of 3 herbs from this Chinese medicine guy, my depression wasn't severe. It was relatively mild. So I feel that the success that I had there was purely because I wasn't in the place that I needed to save my own life. For me, I resisted taking medication for a long time, because part of the reason was I'm like, I'm just giving money to Big Pharma. And part of the reason was, I'm going to be so natural, I'm all herby and tinkly fairy dust. The fairy dust and the unicorn farts and the crystals and the talismans and the aromatherapy oils, and they didn't work. And I'm not saying that they're not going to work for you. They didn't work for me. And I do think that there is a lot of stock to be put into medications which have been researched and tested, and you've had scientists working on this to help you stabilize your mood and your mental state. And the reason why that is because many of us who experience anxiety and depression have reduced serotonin levels. And now you're not going to up those serotonin levels by holding a crystal against your ear. You're not going to up those serotonin levels by smelling a bunch of aromatherapy oils. Now, I am an aromatherapist. I do aromatherapy. So I'm not knocking aromatherapy. What I'm saying is that it's not a cure for depression, at least in my case. But I want to just make sure that you are warned that these healy-feely things, and yes, I am healy-feely. If you know me well, you know I am. But there is a place for the natural stuff, and then there's a place for the medical stuff. And so in my recent bout of depression, having gone back onto the paroxetine, it has been a complete game changer for me. Until I really resisted coming back onto medication because of the side effects that I experienced on venlafaxine, and because of the side effects I experienced with fluoxetine. Those two drug ingredients, um, I'm not going to name the brands, but if you know anything, you might actually know which brands they are. Um, they caused a complete numbing of my emotions. So not only was I not feeling sad, I wasn't feeling happy either. I was just in this place when I felt nothing. And then laxaphene caused me to have auditory and visual hallucinations. Now on the insert packet it says visual disturbances. And I'm thinking visual disturbance is a little bit of blurring of vision, what. I didn't expect that this would be actual hallucinations. Because, yeah, I had hallucinations. So I had to come off that drug. Also, there were so many side effects that were not, that really didn't work. And that's the one thing you've also got to think about when you're looking at medication. Many medications will say on the insert as a warning that it's not the best idea to use for children or adolescents because it may trigger suicidal action or thoughts. So be aware of that. Be aware of your own emotional state while you're taking the medication so that you know that if things are starting to numb out. If things are starting to numb out, get to your doctor immediately. If you are experiencing a deeper sense of depression on the medication's not for you. You need to go back to your medical practitioner and find what works. Because for many of us, medication really is the only way that we can stabilize the serotonin levels in our brain. Because you're serotonin deficient. If you are deficient of vitamin B or vitamin D or zinc or iron, what do? You take a supplement that will help you get more of those vitamins or the zinc or the iron into your body. What a lot of these antidepressants do is they prevent serotonin from being taken up by the little receptors, so you've got more serotonin floating around in your brain, meaning that your mood is going to be elevated, which means you have now more serotonin, which means you can function better. Okay, what do I have to say about the people who are naysayers on the medication? Hey, I get it. I was one of those. I was dead set against going back onto any form of medication that it's going to mess with my brain chemicals. Then I take glucophage because I'm type 2 diabetic. It's messing with my chemicals. I take Omez for my heartburn, messing with my chemicals. I take painkillers when I have a headache, messing with my chemicals. So there is a reason why people research these things, why people do tests and studies and go through a rigorous process of vetting this medication so that you can actually safely take it. And I totally get people being against medicine, and that's your indaba. But understand this, for me, taking the medication has been a complete life-changing experience. I can say that the medication has literally, and I mean literally in the actual true sense of the word, saved my life. And if you are in a place where you are that low, or in that dark place of depression, in that grip of depression where you feel like you're walking through mud every single day, you're thinking about your own death every single day, the crystal's not going to do it. St. John's wort is not going to do it. Homeopathics, not going to do it. You can supplement your medication with whatever vitamins you want. I take a multivitamin that has magnesium in it as well. And I'm ordering for myself menopausal support, herbal thing. by all means. But for me, having resisted taking medication for so damn long, I could have actually been living my best life years ago. And yes, I am pro-medication. I wasn't pro-medication about a couple of years back. If you'd asked me, because of my experience with vinlaxine, I would have said to you, no, there's no chance in hell I'm going back onto medication. But I do believe that it has quite literally saved my life. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with having to take medication for your mental illness. People who suffer from schizophrenia, psychosis, a whole range of mental illness, take medication. And for them, it makes things different. It helps them to function in the world a lot better. It helps them to deal with the problems that they are facing a lot better. Obviously, I'm also a big advocate for getting therapy or counseling along with your medication. If you can afford it, do it. If not, there are options in South Africa, the UK, US, Canada, wherever you are, there are options for free counseling. Take advantage of them, because fine, we're doing the treatment, we're doing the medication, but not getting to the root of the problem, not looking at what's going on psychologically it's stupid, because it's like me taking the glucophage and not doing anything to change my diet as far as type 2 diabetes is going. Luckily, I am doing both. I'm changing my diet and I'm taking the glucophage. But if you're not doing something that can help you psychologically to move through whatever it is that is causing your depression, you're only doing a half-assed job. And it's complicated, yes, of course it is. It's not as straightforward as setting a bone that's broken. It's a process. Recovery is a process, and I will say this again and again. It's a process. Sometimes it's 10 steps forward and 2 steps back, and sometimes it's 10 steps forward, 11 steps back. And that's okay. And it's okay to take your meds. Take your meds, please. And if you haven't got, and you think you might need, go and see your medical practitioner as soon as you can. And then regularly, what I do is every 6 months, I go to the doctor who prescribed the medication to do a reassessment. Like, how am I doing on the medication? What's happening? How am I feeling? That kind of thing. Because that's also important. It's important to monitor that medication that you're on. You can't just, there I go. It needs to be monitored, and you need to monitor your emotional state and what you are experiencing on the medication. But as I can say, for me, it was a great success, and this video is turning out to be like nearly 20 minutes long. But this is how strongly I feel. And I wish you all luck and all the best for finding the right medication that matches what you need. Because I think if we do that, if we look at ourselves and look at medication in a different light, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm taking medication for type 2 diabetes. Nobody's going to say anything about it if I say to them, listen, I'm taking medication it's time for me to take my diabetic medication. Nobody says anything. If I have any other kind, if I'm taking thyroid medication, nobody's going to say anything because it's normal. A lot of people stigmatize medication because it's like, oh, you're cooked in the head, you need medicine. You know what? Fuck them. They're not living your life. They're not inside your head. They're not doing any of the things that you need to do in your life for your recovery. So to hell with them. If you feel you need medication and you want to take it, take it. And if you want to tell people you're taking it, tell them. Because it's them who have the problem if you are on medication, not you. You're doing the best you can for yourself and for your life. Oh my word, I really have gone over time. I normally want these videos to be just like 10 minutes, and we're going on to 20. So I'm going to leave it there. And thank you very much for watching. I would love to hear what you have to say about medication. I would love to hear what your experiences are. Please comment on my Facebook or comment at the below on this video, and please let's open the door to talk about it. Thanks for watching.